Hey guys, how's it going? I hope you're all having a great day today. Today we are talking about Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, the DLC that is dropping tomorrow at the time I'm recording this video. Personally, I'm very excited for it, and a lot of other people that I know are very excited for it. Now, if you know anything about the video game industry, you know journalists usually get access to things like this early so they can review it. And yeah, we're taking a look at another terrible review today. And it's by the same person who said the Steam Deck sucks because it was too heavy for him to lift. He's also the same guy that said he likes to be mentally challenged while he plays video games, which is a very interesting thing to say. The video is called Do Not Buy Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree Very Disappointing, and it comes from Expert Review Zone.
Hello, welcome back to a new video. So today we have to talk about Elden Ring DLC. Shadow of the Erdtree is coming out very soon, and I've actually had the fortunate pleasure of being able to have early access to the game, and I was able to play it before everyone else. And I've played over 110 hours so far on the new DLC, and I have to say, so far, the experience I've had with this DLC has been kind of disappointing and lacking in a certain kind of luster that I wasn't quite expecting.
And he's already dropped the signature lacking in luster phrase that he likes to use on his channel, so we're off to a great start. Also, 100 hours in the DLC already. I'm not sure how long he's had access to this DLC for, or if he's even had it at all, but that is an insane amount of time to clock in already. If this guy played for 10 hours a day for a full week, that still wouldn't be 100 hours. Just keep that in mind while we watch this video.
So as you probably know, I am a massive fan of Elden Ring when it came out in 2022.
No, you're not. You uploaded multiple YouTube videos shitting on the game for being too hard, and then you went back and shat on all the other Souls games and Sekiro. I swear I remember you had a video on your channel called Elden Ring Sucks, Very Disappointing. Now don't quote me on that because I don't know if that was the exact title, but I remember this guy calling Elden Ring disappointing or too hard or something like that.
I played it so much and I have over 444 hours playing Elden Ring. I have multiple new game pluses. I beat the game multiple times and I'm level 242. So I thought when DLC would come out, my character who is level 242 with all of the weapons unlocked, all of the abilities unlocked, I've tested out all these different kinds of builds to find the best build that can destroy everything, which you can find in many videos on my channel. I've made many build videos in case you're wondering what my best builds are. I thought I would be able to destroy this DLC when it comes out with my ultimate overpowered character.
But that's the thing, dude. You're playing a Souls game. Everyone thinks they're hot shit when they go into the new Souls game or the new Souls DLC, and the makers of the game find another way to kick your ass. That is literally what we love about the Souls games. Even if you've mastered the game, you're still going to die once you play through it again at least once or twice. I mean, I've beaten Elden Ring, the base game, maybe 10 times now. And even now when I play through it, the Draconic Tree Sentinel still sometimes gives me trouble. Elden Ring's bosses are not meant to be steamroll competitions. In every single Souls game, the best and hardest bosses are always in the DLC.
Unfortunately, that hasn't quite been the case. The Elden Ring DLC Shadow of the Erdtree is stupidly difficult, and I'm not saying it's difficult in a fun, challenging way. It's like a Souls game, and obviously it's going to be difficult and challenging. That's what makes it fun. It's not like that. It's not fun. It's difficult in a really stupidly annoying way and frustrating way, to the point where I actually want to smash my girlfriend's phone into the wall.
Holy shit, it seems like this guy should have spent that $50 on an anger management class and not the Elden Ring DLC. Seriously, if you're the type of person to get this upset over a challenging video game, then Elden Ring just simply isn't the game for you. You might be more like an Animal Crossing type of guy. You know, I have probably about 1,000 hours in Elden Ring across all platforms, and not once have I felt like smashing my girlfriend's phone.
So basically, if you didn't like aspects of Elden Ring, or if you just didn't like Elden Ring at all, then you're not really gonna like the DLC.
Well, no shit.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of to be expected. If you don't like Elden Ring, then why would you buy Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, which is just more Elden Ring? Serious question, who the fuck buys a DLC for a game that they don't enjoy? Man, those 60 hours I've had in Elden Ring, they weren't very enjoyable, but I'm gonna go ahead and shell over some more money so I can get more Elden Ring. What the fuck?
All of the problems that the base game had, clunky mechanics, slow movement, annoyingly stupid bosses that take ages to defeat.
Yeah, the bosses in Elden Ring do not take ages to defeat. Some of the later game bosses might take you like at most 10 minutes, but that's really not that long, dude. Now, it is possible that you're under-leveled and your weapons just aren't upgraded enough, and that's why they're taking forever to defeat, but there's a simple solution to that. Upgrade your gear and upgrade your character.
And the only way to defeat them is not through skill, it's through memorization of their attack patterns.
This is a point I went over in another video where I responded to somebody who said hard games sucked because they don't take skill and only take pattern recognition. Pattern recognition itself is a skill. And Elden Ring bosses are not only pattern recognition. There's pattern recognition, yes, but there's also timing and exploration and finding things to help your character defeat that boss. There's also strategy. Okay, what build am I going to use? How am I going to allocate my stats? What talismans am I going to use? What gear? What armor? What order am I going to fight these bosses in? Maybe I shouldn't fight this boss right now and I should go explore and come back later once I get an item that'll help me.
Once you've memorized their attack patterns, all of the bosses are a cakewalk. It's not difficult, it's just a matter of memorizing what they do and then just cakewalking them.
Yeah, that's just a complete lie. I know all of Melania's moves, but her waterfowl dance still gets me from time to time. Also, it's kinda hard to remember every single boss's move in the game, unless you've played through it like 300 times.
So they've added a bunch of new stuff to the DLC, but it's not really new stuff in the sense that it's new to the game, like new mechanics or new way to play the game. It's just basically more of the same stuff that was already in the base game. So you've got like, I don't know, 100 new weapons, dozens of new Ashes of War, dozens of new armor sets, dozens of new weapon classes, but they're basically just the same as the stuff you've already experienced in the base game, just with like a different skin or different movement or like a different variation of fire, lightning, cold, frost, poison, whatever kind of magical element there is. It's just different variants.
Well, no shit.
So he's complaining that the new content in the DLC isn't new enough because it's not like entirely new mechanics. What the fuck? Of course the core mechanics of the game are gonna stay the same. This is a DLC, not an entirely new game. At this point, I'm genuinely wondering, what did this guy expect from the DLC? Did he expect them to do a full overhaul of the combat systems and make it something like Sekiro, where it's something brand new from all the other Souls games? If this were an entirely new game that we were talking about, I'd be able to understand where he's coming from. But this is not a brand new game. This is a DLC for an already existing game. The base mechanics and everything are already there. This DLC is just like every other DLC in the Souls series. They don't add new mechanics or anything like that, they just add on to what already existed. I mean, at the end of the day, Shadow of the Erdtree is an expansion. It adds on to the base game.
Mixed and matched to create this new Ash of War, or new spells, or new skills, or new weapons that are just like a combination of the old stuff and then rehashed into something that's supposed to be new. And the same can be said about the bosses, really. So there's new bosses, but they basically are just like the old bosses in the previous base game, but they act and move in different ways. They've got cool new art designs, but it's really just the same kind of mechanics where they'll do a bunch of attacks, they'll just obliterate you in the beginning because you won't really know what's coming. But once you've memorized the attack patterns, you can just easily dodge and roll out of the way.
So it's the day after the DLC came out right now, or the day of the DLC, because I stayed up late to play it. And I've already gotten to the first boss, and the first boss plays nothing like any of the bosses in the base game, so that's just a straight up lie. Also, once again, he's complaining that the core mechanics of the game are the same in an expansion. I mean, I don't get it. Of course the bosses are gonna play like you wait for your turn to attack, and then dodge the enemy's attack. That's been the design of Dark Souls since 2012. This dude literally wants them to do a Sekiro level overhaul just for the DLC. Oh yeah, and speaking of Sekiro, he didn't like Sekiro either and put out a review dogging it because it was too difficult.
Next, we have to talk about the new map. So in Shadow of the Erdtree, you enter this Shadow Realm, and as you can imagine, it's a very dark land full of shadows, and it just looks kind of drab and dreary and ugly.
No, it doesn't. It's one of the best looking locations in the game, and the only thing that's really dark are the enemies. I'm convinced this guy didn't even play the game, in all honesty. There's no way he thinks it's dark and dreary. In all honesty, I'd have to argue that the Shadow of the Erdtree Shadow Realm area is the best looking area in the game. It looks beautiful from the very start when you're running across that open field and see that giant flaming enemy in the background.
It doesn't look anywhere near as good as the base game's map, where it was all whimsical and glowing, cool yellow golden lights, and there's like a big tree in the background. The Shadow Realm...
Now, I played the DLC yesterday, and I'm pretty sure you literally see like the Erdtree in the background, so he's completely lying out of his ass once again.
I guess if you like fast action, highly responsive combat, then you're not going to find it in Elden Ring. You're not really going to find that in any of these Souls games, because Souls games are traditionally very clunky, very slow. You kind of just aim the camera at the enemy and you pace around it, looking for openings and weaknesses to attack them with.
What version of Elden Ring has this guy been playing? He's been playing on like 0.25 times speed or some shit. The newer Souls games like Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, Sekiro, and Elden Ring are some of the most fast-paced games in the world. I mean, the bosses are so fast-paced. But I did watch a video of this guy playing Elden Ring, and his build had him fat rolling, so maybe that's why he thinks the game is slow-paced.
As for the graphics of the game, they're still not quite up to my standards. If you're expecting a boost in the graphical fidelity, you'll be sorely disappointed, because the game engine and graphics look exactly as the base game. They haven't improved the graphics at all.
Yeah, because the DLC is made on the exact same engine and made in the exact same game. Of course the graphics are gonna look the same. Also, who the fuck cares about graphics in 2024? Oh my god, dude, the graphics are not realistic enough, bro. Oh my god, dude, they didn't render Captain Price's nutsack in 4K. Well, the game might not have a high pixel count. It has a nice art style, so that doesn't really matter. Forspoken has a high pixel count, so technically good graphics, but it still looks like a steamy pile of shit that just dropped out of an elephant's ass. Also, just because a game looks really good doesn't mean it's fun to play. I tried playing Hellblade 2, and that is a beautiful looking game, but man, it's just... I don't know how else to put it. It's fucking boring.
In fact, all of the bad negative aspects of the base game have all made their way into the DLC. So for example, the frustratingly long loading screens every time you die. Sure, it only takes like 5 or 6 seconds, but every time you die, it builds up.
Okay, if you're dying so often where 5 and 6 second loading screens are a long time, then I just gotta say it, man. You need to get good. You know, there's a saying when it comes to the Souls games that I always go by. It's called get good or get out.
Because you're going to die a lot, and it takes like 6 seconds for the dying animation for your character to fall over, turn into dust, the you died text to pop up, and then the black screen, and then the loading screen, and then waking up at the grace of sight again, and then exiting the grace of sight menu.
This guy can't even say sight of grace properly. Grace of sight. What the fuck? This is like one of the worst reviews I've ever seen for the Elden Ring DLC. Not as bad as the Alyssa Mercanti or whatever the fuck her name is, but still really bad. How do you have hundreds of hours in this game, have completed it multiple times, and not know how to say sight of grace?
All of that takes like 15 seconds. Every time you die, you gotta wait like 15 seconds. And it might not sound like a lot, it might sound trivial, but when you're just trying to get on in the game and make progress, and you're frustratingly dying all the time to some stupid boss, you don't really want to be waiting 15 seconds every time to get back in and have another crack at it.
Well, if you're dying so many times to where the 15 seconds are adding up, maybe you're doing it wrong. Maybe you shouldn't be fighting that boss yet, and you should go level up your character or get some upgrades or something. Or maybe you're just not that good at the game. I mean, maybe you just gotta get good. I mean, seriously, every single video game pretty much has like a little loading screen or a little wait after you die. It's no different with Elden Ring. And if you're struggling that much with an Elden Ring boss, summon somebody.
So yeah, those are my 2 cents. I found the DLC Shadow of the Erdtree to be kind of lacking in luster.
Well, that is pretty much the review. If you guys enjoyed this reaction I did, leave a like. If you didn't, you can leave a dislike and an angry comment. I guess the DLC is just lacking in luster.